Good morning and welcome to another episode of Tea with Z. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend and yeah, it's been an amazing weekend for the for some of the teams in the Olympics, in the Tokyo Olympics. And today what I really wanted to touch base on is celebrating wins. But before we dive deep into that, if you haven't got your hot beverage yet, go and grab it because yeah, today I really want to have a chat about the amazing things that's going on in Tokyo at the moment, but also I guess um how how we celebrate our wins in our day-to-day lives. Are we needing to wait until we're on the world stage before we start celebrating, or along our own health entrepreneurial journey, are we actually celebrating milestones or even the smallest of wins to keep the momentum and pace up in our journey to success, or whatever success looks like? And so when we look at this world stage and the amazing performance of these athletes, these guys are absolutely incredible. And big shout out to the female 4x100 meter swim team that broke the Australian world record that was previously held by another Australian team from the Commonwealth Games, I believe in 2018. So yeah, massive shout out to the incredible efforts there. And what I really wanted to do was, I was reading this morning some articles about that and the celebrations, and there was some controversy around the celebrations and them taking photos without masks on and things like that. But that was all above IOC, but each to their own, will interpret things in a different way. But what I really wanted to do today was really touch on celebrating wins. Now, when we're on our own health entrepreneurial journey, and I'm sure, at this incredible level of these professional athletes, they're top of the game, they're world class, they're world leaders in their fields. And we see their celebrations on the podiums and things like that. But when we're in our own health entrepreneurial journey, we we sometimes don't have that world stage. Yes, we aspire to maybe be at that world stage, but my question to you is, are you waiting to get to that world stage and then to start actually acknowledging and celebrating your wins? And when we're on our own health entrepreneurial journey, it's funny that, and I was with some colleagues and some people last week, really running through some exercises to reflect on where they've been and where they want to head in their businesses and on their own health entrepreneurial journeys. And it was really interesting, and it's something that I've picked up a lot lately, and it's hit home watching these amazing athletes perform at their best, is that we're so easy to criticize ourselves. If I ask you, what are your weaknesses? What are your weaknesses? Where in your life or on your own health entrepreneurial journey, or where in your business can you improve on? And you could very quickly rattle off items on that list. But whereas if I ask you what your strengths are, what your successes are, what your wins are, what your accomplishments are, it's a lot tougher. And it really surprises me that we focus so much on the negative aspects of our performance and the things that we need to improve to get better, to do better, to be better. But we don't really take the time out to actually reflect on the things that we actually do well already. And whether or not that's just for ourselves or in our team environment, in our family, with our friends, wherever, how often do we step back and go, wait a minute, there's actually some gold in whatever I'm doing already. There's wins that should be celebrated. There's successes that have been achieved, but not celebrated or not even acknowledged. And as we are health entrepreneurs and in the life of entrepreneurship, we don't really take the time to step back and actually sit in that, to acknowledge that, to actually even reward ourselves, to give ourselves a pat on the back for achieving what we've achieved, whether or not it is monumental as, crushing a world record, or something as small as just having a positive impact on one person's life. And it's really interesting that we don't do that. And whether or not that's through stories or coding that have come about from our upbringing, from our childhood, that always, I guess, always need to be better, always that increased desire to perform at a higher standard, that we ourselves are our own harshest critics. When we look at that from a business perspective, from an entrepreneur perspective, that limits our beliefs in order to know what success actually looks like. If we're not actually recognizing the wins and the successes that we already have. And that's incredibly difficult because at the end of the day, if we're not taking the time out to acknowledge what we're doing good, how can we recognize and leverage that to know what we can do better in the future, what to know where our performance is currently at, and what we can do to achieve even greater success. And it's really, really vital, I guess, that we do as business owners, as health entrepreneurs, take that time out to really, I guess, acknowledge that. And Tash has just popped up here, and it's so true. It does make them realize that their efforts are making a difference and helps them to motivate to keep going. And when you look at that, when you actually look at motivation as a word, how are we motivated to perform? Are we motivated through negativity and through being hard on ourselves? Or are we motivated to perform? And that's a great point that Tash raised. Are we motivated to perform better and to break through ceilings, knowing that we've achieved certain levels and status and levels of success? And so, my question to you is, when was the last time that you took the time out to celebrate a win? When was the last time that you acknowledged other members of your teams, other members of your family or friends that have achieved some level of a success and taken some time out to acknowledge that? Just to acknowledge that. I'm not saying you necessarily need to reward the win, but taking that time out to acknowledge the win. And what in your organization do you do then to celebrate your wins? Is there a special day of the week that you use to celebrate your wins? Is there some sort of social acknowledgement that you have amongst your team for a weekly win, a monthly win, whatever that might look like? How do you involve your community? Whether or not that's your customers, your patients, your broader local community, how do you involve them in your wins? Are they actually part of your win? And do you actually even acknowledge them? At the end of the day, if you're running a health business, a lot of your wins come from your patients or the impact that you have on your patients and communities. So, how are you celebrating your wins? Or are you so bogged down in focusing on your weaknesses that you're ignoring all the amazing things that you and your team are doing? And when it comes down to motivation, then, are you now motivating your team to strive for the next gold medal? Or are you dissuading them from performance, knowing that, well, them knowing that it would never be acknowledged or would never be good enough if ever obtained? And that's a really critical, I guess, disparity between that mindset of focusing on the accomplishments, the successes, the wins, and leveraging off that to learn and perform better versus focusing on the weaknesses and drilling down that negativity from a place of whatever you're doing will never be good enough. And so think about that. And, Tash raised that point. Think about that on the motivation of your team. Think about that on the motivation of yourself to perform. And at the end of the day, you yourself are all winners in your own right. It's just whether or not you can acknowledge and see that. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a massive win. It could be the smallest of wins. It doesn't have to be breaking a world record. It could be that you made a meaningful difference to one patient's life in that week, and that's a win. So that's my question to you today. Are you celebrating your wins? How are you celebrating your wins? Or are you so focused on the weaknesses on your own health entrepreneurial journey that you're ignoring the wins, the abundance of wins in your life and in your team and in your community? So that's my challenge as well to you today is what win are you going to celebrate this week or even today or even this morning? What win are you going to celebrate and acknowledge, not only for yourself, but for your team, for your community, for your family, and for your friends? So, mate, once again, I just want to shout out the amazing efforts to the all the amazing athletes that are performing right now, and it's really really cool to see. But one thing I do want to shout out, just end on like I do normally, is the Limitless Network. So, the Limitless Network is a group of like-minded health entrepreneurs. Now, I just want to touch base on the definition of health entrepreneur. Health entrepreneur means anybody in their own right, in their own shape or form, who wants to take or is taking charge of their own health journey, who are in the business of health, whether or not it's for themselves, for their family, for their friends, or for an actual business to improve not only their lives, but the lives of others. And where the profits of that aren't just monetary, but is through improved health, joy, happiness. And I believe we're all in our own right a health entrepreneur, but it's whether or not you see that as well. And if you do believe that you are a health entrepreneur in whatever shape or form, please join the Limitless Network. We're growing each and every day, and it's awesome to see that. But the reason why we grow this network and this community is that we deep dive into a topic with T with Z exclusively in this group every Friday. But it's a safe space. It's a safe space of peer supported network and community and collaboration to really talk about things within your business along your own health entrepreneurial journey to help, yeah, support one another. So that's what we're all about. So links at the bottom there. Be great to see you in there. But that's it from me today. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic week, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Alrighty then. Take care now. Bye.